Hey, welcome back to Say You Look Tired. I'm Martin.
And I'm Dan. We're back.
I know we are finally back after after I think it's a month, maybe two since our last episode. After on that one we promised that we were back. And then we just went missing off the face of the earth. But hopefully everyone forgives us. We are back. We had a lot on the last couple of months. But yeah, obviously got the little lad. He's almost 5 months now. He's like 4.5 months, which is insane.
Jesus.
Like, can't like that. Obviously, seen you all on Instagram, even though we obviously been chatting, talking all on Instagram and Facebook, just conference after conference after conference. Like, they seem to be going well. How are you finding them?
I love doing the conferences. I always I always say to the people that's running them, just before I'm about to go on, I am really nervous. And they're like, why am I? Oh, it's
Yeah.
because I care and I want to do a really good job. And when there's like 200 teachers in a room, I want to make sure, because I remember what it was like as a teacher when you go on a training course. Within the first 5 minutes, this is awful. I'd be like, oh, this is not going to be good for me. And I don't like anyone to be bored. I want to share loads of knowledge, but also I like to call it plug and play. I want to give them loads of ideas that they can take off straight away and do the next day and leave feeling inspired. But I always get really nervous just before it. And then like whoever's running it will come up to me after and was like, you were not nervous. You were absolutely fine.
Do you know what? And I think that I think that's the key with a lot of it, because a lot of like CPT that you do, it's a killer. I imagine it must have been especially a killer for you, because most of it, like, they'd be like, this doesn't apply to early years. Anyway, let's look at
hmm
this. But
Sitting in an inset day
so good.
after
I think it's
Christmas.
the right. Yeah. Inset day after Christmas, the first one back in the summer. Like,
Uh,
summer used to kill me because we would have like the simplest inset days. So in for 9, we'd have a meeting at 9 where we'd be in the year 6 classroom, and would literally, the head would go through like all the key dates for that year. So you'd have your brand new diary, you'd have your key dates for the year. So it'd be like, okay, this is sports day, this is when year 1 are going to the panto, this is when this is happening, this is when this is happening, this is when this is happening. Bang, everything's in.
mhm.
And then it'd be like, okay, go have, like, not go have fun, but go get yourself sorted, get ready for tomorrow when the kids are in. Now and again, we'd have to have someone come in, and I'd always be like, Jesus Christ, like, I've got stuff to sort. I don't want to sit here listening to you.
Absolutely. I would be sitting, I do that thing where I can look like I'm paying attention. And in my head, especially in late
Yeah.
August, September, I'm like, I've got this to do. Which is why when I was saying, like, when I'm out doing an inset, especially at the start of the year, I want it to be something that's going to benefit right there and then, like, as in for autumn term. So usually, because I can say no, of course, when I get booked for things. But this last couple of years, the two things I've done, so this September past, the one I'd done was for early years, and it was all about the pre-writing skills. And I went, good. I'm absolutely going to do that because this is something these EYFS teachers can take off straight away and implement in September. And then the other one the year before
Yeah.
was for a group of nurseries, and it was all about find your fun, about well-being. I always start, and I always get this into every training I do in some way about you first, looking after yourself. And I say, don't stand at the door with a face on you like you've just been smacked. Is that if you don't want to, I've met so many teachers on supply who don't want to be there. And I've spoken to them. I was one of them. Like, if you rewind 6 years ago, which is not a long time ago, I did not want to be there. I did turn up and I could pretend. But even when you're pretending, it's still that air of your patience is lowered, especially in early years, whenever you just are like, the word is cat, write it down, let's get on with the day. But yeah, there's so many teachers who don't want to be there. But yeah, I love doing the conferences. And, that's why we're only getting back to doing the podcast now, because you've been busy, I've been busy. And, you can easily burn yourself out. And for a podcast, it's like, look after yourself and do this, that we don't want to burn ourselves out and be lying, because I'm not a liar.
Oh, 100%. And I think that's the big thing with it all, isn't it? Like, it's given that message, like, the main reason both of us wanted to do this podcast is to kind of help teachers put themselves first. I'm a big believer in like, don't know about you, like I've seen so many things, and the last government was awful. But actually, like, I'm starting to get a little bit annoyed with this government because I feel there's a lot of token to teachers.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know if you've got into it, like, there's a lot of MPs and even the Prime Minister, like, meeting with teachers, with influencer teachers
Yeah.
who've got a big following to, like, have meetings with them.
Mhm.
But you watch and you're like, "You didn't answer on that." There was
No.
one where it was all about special needs, and the fella on it, Mr. G, like, who does all the dancer he does,
Oh,
like, the
I love
dancing, all
him,
the
yeah.
SEN and stuff like that. I think he's class. But I saw it with him, he said, like, right now, he works in a kinda a school for children who can't cope in the mainstream.
Mhm.
And he said, "Right now, a child has to be, like, basically pushed to their very limits. Even though we know they're not in the right environment, it almost has to be like a, 'This isn't safe for everyone,' and
Mhm.
then they get brought to us."
Yeah.
Is there a way where we can change the system where they can be assessed and it's like, "Do you know what? Before anything happens, before there's kickoffs, before thing it's quite clear that this isn't the right environment for them, they can go here."
Mhm.
And it was into they had the Prime Minister on, they had the Education Secretary, and they had, the local MP for the area, and they
Oh,
just kinda
wow.
went they just kinda went like, "We'll look
Mm.
into it, maybe." And you're like, "You've set this interview up? Like,
Mhm.
what do
Yeah.
you mean?
Yeah.
Like, what have you just come here to, like, just, like, look, we meet teachers." Like, to me, it's stop those in like, um it's like, stop those interviews and instead, like, just go do your job.
Yeah, go and do it.
You sound a
If
little bit
I
like Rick
say,
Steele on his podcast, like, "That's your job, go do your job."
"Go do
Like,
it."
your job isn't to go, "Look at all these teachers we meet." It's, "Hey, get the education system sorted." Like, I have not seen anything come out which I've been like, "Wow, isn't that good?" Even with the
Mhm.
teacher pay rises, great the teachers are getting pay rises. It's definitely not enough. But what do you mean you're not funding them? And why is it even a
Mm.
conversation? I've said it before, like, I don't know another government job where they talk about a pay rise and then it's like, we don't know whether we'll fund it or not. Like, I don't hear it with the doctors, I
Mhm.
don't hear it with the nurses, I don't hear it with the civil service. Why with teachers is it always gotta be like, "Oh, we'll fund it." It should just be, "We're giving you this pay rise, here's the money for it."
Yeah, find the
Same
money
as
from
every other job.
somewhere.
Yeah. They'll find it quick enough for other stuff.
Mm,
Do you know, they're
absolutely.
one. They got a big pay rise. They're just under 100 grand now. And it's like, "Oh, who decided that?" "Oh, we have a special panel, which we're not involved with, which decides if we get a pay rise and whether it's there." And then that just comes out of, that gets added to the budget.
Mm.
Teachers, we'll decide. Your independent panel said, like 6, but we're actually thinking 3 and maybe cut a couple of TAs to pay for it.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah. It's
have you got a
crazy.
pat on the back just to do an interview? Like, it does my head in.
It's for me, being an early years teacher, I love, and I say I don't, there's a bit of I love because I laugh, but if I see another MP or local councillor going on a bear hunt and trying to read it to a small group of 6 children, I'm gonna scream. And all those children are sitting so good. It's like the videos that you see online for like a training thing. And like if they're modeling phonics and the teacher's got a small group of 6. Whereas in real life, I've got 30 children. They're all rocking back and forward. The other day I was I can't remember exactly what it was. There was a word on the screen we were trying to read it. They were all struggling with it. And I was cold calling, blah, blah, blah. And I was all to this little boy, yeah, you. And he was like, he took a second and he was like, I'm getting McDonald's after school today. And I went, good for you. That's not what that says, but let's move on. But like, it's so funny. And then like when I see like them in an earlier setting, like playing beside a tray of toys and things like that. I'm like, you don't know
Oh,
what you're doing. You do not have a clue what you're doing in there. And then the special needs thing was a really good guy. There's some really amazing influencers online. I'd say I don't want to call them influencers because I feel that undermines
yeah,
it.
it's so
Someone called me an influencer, and I was like, "Absolutely not. I'm not."
yeah,
And I hate that because that was not a thing. That was not a thing. So this year in April, it's 10 years since I started Mr. Mac. 10 years. And for me, it was just sharing ideas. It's not influencing. I just wanted to
yeah.
share ideas because it's fun. And back then it was fun. And even now, like I just want to think, what can I do to help? And when I'm anything I put online, there's always, like I was saying earlier, that we think about well-being. I love sharing things that just make the job easier. But also when it comes to like
Yeah.
special needs funding and stuff, like I'm saying, there's some people online that I follow. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. I wish that this video was seen by
Yeah.
so many people, so many more people. I go into so many schools to either do training or through the supply teaching that I do now. And I see everywhere special needs children who are either just left, the work is
Yeah.
not suitable for them, or they're given like holding activities to keep them busy. And it always, always breaks my heart because I try, but there's nothing I can do within that one day that's going to necessarily help. I always say to myself, what's the 1% thing I could do right now to just make it a little bit better?
Yeah.
Because we're doing English right now. Say if I was teaching year two, we're doing English right now, and you are not going to access this. But if I can try and figure out what it is you are not able to do right now to try and bridge that gap, I will find something. And that's why you can do things like chat GPT and stuff like that there. I went in and very
Oh,
quickly
it's
because
class and
I
stuff
don't know
like
the
that.
class, but I'll talk to the because I've been in the same schools now. I'm in the same 4 or 5 schools all the time, which I love. And if I'm teaching a class that I'm not necessarily familiar with, I'll just chat to the TA. I was like, "What's wrong with so and so and so and so?" And I sat with this TA one day at lunchtime. We were sitting having a snack, and I just got my little laptop up, and I went, "Right, this is what the barriers are. Let's just take ChatGPT as like we said before, little idea just to help." And I went, "Look, you could do this, 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 this," and she was like, sometimes, the teacher's off or we don't always have time to chat to each other and I don't know what to do. So I just get the Lego out and I'm like, right, okay, you can use this to help you because if it makes a difference, then so be it. But like with the funding for special needs, they're putting, so much funding into like training, training, training. Yeah, you can do all the training you want, but where's the support in the trenches? It is so
Oh, yeah,
hard.
and
It's
I think
so hard.
the biggest one with it is the TAs, I think.
Mm,
Like, with most special needs, you need that one-to-one support, and I think what the worst thing about it all is, if you're lucky, there might be one kid who gets the funding in your class for a
yeah.
one-to-one TA, but that TA is never a one-to-one TA because there's normally, like, 4 or 5 children in that class that need that support. So that TA is basically like, "Let's put all these on one table together,
Hmm.
and you work with all of them." And
Which
that's,
you
like, the killer
can't.
with it, isn't it? Like, yeah, like, it'd be a struggle for, like, anyone to do it. We're like, "You just do that." Like, that's the biggest one for me. It's not having that right support in the classroom. It's not having the right support anywhere, and it's just failing everyone, and it's like, "Oh, we doing a great job because we can put it on social media now." No, like,
Mhm.
go and do your job. Go and do
Yeah.
your job. If if they put as much effort into the education system as teachers did, like, can you imagine where
Mhm.
like, the education system would be?
Oh my
Like,
goodness.
but the higher up, it's always like, "Oh, we'll do it." Like,
Mhm.
look, like, everything's just, "Hey, we've learned this isn't right. Oh, we're gonna
Mhm.
stop it then?
Yep.
No, we're gonna carry on marking." Before, like, or I went to uni, probably, like, with it all, like, they were talking about how pointless marking was. Like, it didn't bring the children on at all, and they'd known it for years.
Yeah.
16 years on now. You still
It's
not in the
good.
books? Yeah. If anything, even more detail now. Like,
I still remember, Martin,
you
I still
know,
remember
we're
sitting
not gonna
over there. I still remember sitting over there. I've been living in
yeah.
Leicester for 15 years. And by the way, this is my last year in Leicester. Anyway, we'll come on to that. Sitting over there for
Ooh,
years on the
nice.
floor in front of the TV, marking my English books for reception, right? And we had to put 2 stars in a wish. I remember saying to my friend Sarah the other day, maybe a few weeks ago, why do we do that? We never looked at it. The children were couldn't read it. They were too young to get any of it. And this is before the days of live market. But we told the children there and then what they had to do. We knew, you know, where the children are. And I made this
Yeah,
little crib sheet where I would have like a I would only ever write on it the children who didn't get it. There's no point in writing down a list of names of everyone who
yeah.
achieved it. What's the point? You know that. I just write down, didn't get it. What was it? What did they need to work on? And then you have your little groups. And then it sort of filters through anyway. Throughout the year, it doesn't change that much unless you know they get the task. But days, weeks of my life sat there doing nothing, only so that someone could flick through and see that my green pen had been in there. Because if it wasn't there, you were gallivanting to the photocopier and chatting around the staff room or having a life outside of school. How dare you? Because someone said to me one time,
Oh,
the reason why we'd use this color pen is so that when we're doing a book look, if you're watching this in video, you'll see what I'm doing. We can quickly flick through and see that that color's in there so we know what's being marked. So then when you're flicking through and you see nothing, niente in there, drag that teacher in, support plan. Where are your pens?
oh, it's so bad with all. I knew of schools, which I still think is mad to this day. It was very big at the time, like, while I was in year 5, of, like, the kids, like, redoing the work. So, going back and editing, and they'd have a different coloured pen. They probably still do it now, but editing
Yes.
the work and, "Oh, you missed your full stop there," and stuff like that. And there was schools I knew where the teacher was told to basically have, like, a blank, like, clear through, like, screen, which you'd clip to the top of the work. Then the teacher would go through with a marker and do all the corrections,
Mm.
leave it on the child's desk, and then the child would have a pen and then basically, like, lift the sheet up and put the corrections in that the teacher had told them to do so that they could go, "Look at how great our feedback is." The children get a bit of verbal feedback, they get a bit of writing on the page, and they know to go and self-edit like this. And it was like, what what's the point? Like,
It's
well,
so
the
funny.
teacher's just editing 30 pieces of work so that you can look slightly better at English.
Uh-huh. That's so funny. Like I've
Like,
taught reception. Actually, I had to do this myself, not through supply, years ago. Oh god, do you know if you've been teaching that long, you can think of years ago. Like 10 years ago, I remember teaching reception and is in my first school and they brought in purple pen feedback during phonics. Okay, so it's not enough that I have to get these children to look at these squiggles and say, even though they're not, some of them are not at the developmental stage to actually stick their tongue out and make that sound because they would say th sound like an f. They can't go. Anyway, phonics teachers out there. Anyway, and after this phonics thing, I had to give them all these purple pen to correct their work and blah. They didn't know what they were doing. I remember this little girl brought her book to me. Right there, I am. The phonics lesson. I am good at teaching phonics. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back. I feel like I've smashed it out of the park. They've all got their purple pens, and I'm like, right, we've had 3 months of this. This is grand. We had a book look coming up. And I was like, right, everyone, we're going to correct our work today. Underline your diagraphs, blah, blah, blah. She brings me up her book, and I'm like, what is this in my head? I was like, oh, I can see that you've been drawing on your book as well. She drew a rainbow and a smiley face. And I was like, why have we got this in? And because it's in pen, I can't rub it out. I was like, why have we done this? And she went, well, I'm proud of my work and I like a smiley face and a rainbow. So, and I went, okay. But like some of them were underlining things they didn't need to underline. And then there's a thing I've seen, and I've had to do this recently, where we're reading a bit of the text and like from a book, and the children have to let me know which words they've never heard of before, and then we add it to the chart for the wall. They were just underlining anything. This little boy underlined it afternoon. Underline. I was like, "What is that word?" He went, "Afternoon." I went, "Afternoon. Have you never heard that word before?" "No." I went, "Yes, you have. You said good afternoon to me earlier when we did the register." And like they were underlining words like tree. And I'm like, "Do you not have you never heard that word before?" "No." And I'm like, "Right, we just need to stop this now because this is just silliness." It's crazy.
That's it, isn't it? It's all just pointless stuff, and if education was just about the kids, like, it'd be ridiculous how much you'd be able to get done, how much work-life balance would be there. It's mad with it all, but going back to it, when you say there, like, when you think back to years and stuff like that, it's always funny, like, I'm always talking to teachers and people who sign up to the program that I do and stuff like that. And one of the things we'll always talk about first on the call is I'll be like, "Oh, what you teach, you've been doing it long." And now and again, they might say like, "Oh yeah, I've been a teacher 7, 8 years now." And I'll think in my head, I'll go, "It's quite a long time to be a teacher." And then I'll think, like, if I was still in the classroom, I'd be on like 16 years now. Like,
That's a grown person. Like, my first class I taught, they're now 19. 19. And I taught them in reception. I've not got grey hair yet. Actually, that is a lie. I've got 2 little bits at the front, but they're cut out yet. But we've been, you know, it was a long time ago when we were teaching. There was no such thing as streaming. There was no like you get Woolworths was still a thing. Oh no, actually that's a lie. Woolworths closed in 2008. But like,
nah, I was well gone by
CDs,
then.
yeah, we're well gone. CDs, DVDs. There was no such like Netflix was in its infancy. You could still get a DVD posted to your
Yeah.
house from Netflix back in the day.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
goodness
That
me.
was it. That was the first one I remember seeing Netflix. Another teacher had it in school and was like, "That's great. You like get free DVDs a month."
I remember when I introduced YouTube to singing assembly because we had this unit that you opened. It was like a CD unit. Remember that you'd open the door and there'd be a rack. None of them were in their covers. None of them. Which I am a CD collector from back in the day. And I mean, when my brothers and sisters wanted to even touch my CDs, they had to ask me for permission. And they were all scratched. So you put on like wake up, shake up, give it, one of those, and it would go, "Tick, tick, tick, tick," and then you lose 400 children from laughter. So I was like, there's this thing, called YouTube. You can, it's on the laptop. You can actually, there's a lead. We had to find a lead that would work to plug into the laptop because it wasn't a HDMI. It was a different one at that stage to make it work on the screen. And it was one of them airflow monitors that went, to project it onto the screen. And I always said, check airflow. Do you remember them? It come up during your lesson, that
Yeah.
second part. And so they're all sitting there and you're
Always have
like,
to tap it as well, like, "Oh, we've got to recenter the board." Did,
oh,
did, did,
d- d-
did,
d-
did.
that was just recentering the but you go to write and it goes off the side. We had to make do.
Yeah.
I don't know how teachers did it before. Well, chalk. Here, Martin, when I was at primary school, we had a blackboard and chalk.
So did we, yeah. We did as
Yep.
well.
Can you imagine? I don't
Whiteboards were like the new thing that was kinda coming in.
whiteboards. Did you say?
Yeah, that was the, like, fancy one, wasn't it? Wait,
Mm.
I was remember, like, primary was all chalkboard, and then as we went to secondary, they had the whiteboards, and it was like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, you're in grown-up territory now," like, we've got the fancy technology.
I remember my school
Although
got a new mobile.
we had an
Hmm?
English teacher like, our last kinda year at school was when the electronic whiteboards were, like, starting to come in, and the school invested in this one, and our English teacher was off. He was ill, and one of the other English teachers was in on supply, and she didn't know it was, like, this big fancy whiteboard, and she just got a pen out, wrote on it like that, and then we were all like, "Oh, miss," like, and she was like, "No, quiet, quiet, let me do this first." She put it on, and someone was like, "That's an electronic whiteboard, you're not meant to use marker on it."
Oh
And she went to
no.
rub it off, and it all smeared everywhere, and she just turned around and was like, "No one tell anyone about this."
Oh
She was
no.
like, "No one tell anyone about this." And we didn't, to be fair, because we liked her. No one, like, grassed her up.
Mm.
But yeah, she just come in and was like, "Duh, duh, duh," and we were like, she was like, "Let me do this first, then you can tell me what you're gonna tell me." And she was like, "Right, what were you trying to say?" And one of the guy was like, "That, that's an electronic whiteboard, so you're not allowed to use marker on it
Oh,
because it'll just stain
no.
it." And she was like, "Oh."
She ruined it. That was all newfangled things. There was 2 I remember there's 2 things at my primary school I loved. So, one of them, they had a brand new mobile put outside, like mobile classroom. Brand new, and the state of the art thing that was in there, Martin, you ready for this? Was a board that you could pull. Do you remember them ones? And it rotated itself around. So it had a blackboard,
Yeah,
it had
yeah, the ones like you
squares,
do that way.
yeah, squares on a for a whiteboard
Yeah.
pen, and then a white bit with lines for pen. And we were like, and one of the special jobs that we thought we had is you got to clean it for the teacher. And then one of the special jobs that no one will have now in any school, and if you got picked to do this, in my school, I remember if you got picked to do this, you were special, as in you were amazing at this. Was in assembly, you got to turn the overhead projector with the acetates on a roll. Did you have that? It was on a roll, and you got to turn it. I
Yeah,
remember sitting
yeah.
in the hall rehearsing like Adeste Fidelis at Christmas time. I never got asked to do it. I don't know why, but like
Do you
I
know
never
what
got
though?
asked.
I will say this. Our school where I taught, it's probably gone now. We were still using that when I left.
An overhead
Like,
projector.
they had all the old tongue sheets and they had the overhead projector in the assembly and they would put it on and they would have someone who'd put it on for all the kids.
That's sweet. Whereas now those overhead projectors in early years project it against the wall with like some sort of transient art on there.
Oh, no. Well, I think that's a big one, isn't it? Like, it's mad how quick technology, like, catches up, and it's mad how when you think, like, we're still basically doing the same thing in schools that we did when we were kids.
Yeah.
Like, you would
Yeah.
think there'd be that change. I think there is definitely those little differences. Like, I remember being in reception and, like, we did just sit at tables and like, reception wasn't what reception is now. Like,
Mm.
it was basically year one. Like, you sat at a
Yeah.
desk and you did some work. And so there is some changes, but it is mad how, like, the rest of primary school is kind of like
Mhm.
exactly the same, but now you've got a
Yeah.
smart board.
You will sit and you will listen. Do you know what I hate? And I
Yeah.
remember I used to think that this was the best. If all my class were sat down, straight backs, looking at me, that is just, we don't even do that. When I'm in a staff meeting, I don't stare at the person who's talking. I look around the room, where God forbid a little 5-year-old stare at the wall for 2 seconds during your lesson. Oh, so and so little Denise in row 2 wasn't looking at you when you had that diagraph flashcard. We're gonna have to mark that down. Whereas, that's just real life. I've been teaching recently, like a fly come into the room, and that is it. You just have to address the fact that the fly is over there and then move on.
That's it. Well, no, it's not been a bad catch up this one, has it, for the first one back? I feel like we talk about
Absolutely.
nothing and everything at the same time.
As per usual, drop us a review, share it with everybody.
Yeah. Well, that's it. We're back now. We've got a schedule. We're back in 2 episodes a week. To say, if you're back listening after the months off, thank you for jumping back in with us. As I say, we'll just keep talking, bringing up the things, and hopefully, I was thinking if you can get one little piece of gold nugget out of each episode, like if you think over the next year, if we're
Hmm.
putting out 100 episodes, like that's a hell of a difference it can make.
Yeah.
And it all comes you probably agree yourself, like the changes that we've both done, like personally,
Hmm.
it's not big changes. It is a big change, but it's not big changes, is it? It's like little ones where you're like, oh, like I
Yeah.
do that, and then I do that, and I start thinking about that. And all of a sudden that's to that, to that, to that, to where, like I remember you saying like at the beginning, you doing home workouts during COVID, you could imagine going to the gym, stuff like that. You're
Mm.
going 4 or 5 times a week in the morning, before
Six.
work. Like, but you couldn't have done that like straight off, could you?
No. That just seemed like a foreign thing to me. Like today, this morning, I was in the gym. I know I'm working from home today, but like, say yesterday when I was teaching, because I still do supply teaching on top of everything else, because I love it. If anyone's going to judge me, whatever. Um, And I remember, like, when I first started going to the gym in the morning for school, Martin, I rushed around that gym like no tomorrow. I was like putting the plates on the rack, running around because I was scared of being late. When I say being late, I mean after 7:45 to get into work. And then one day I sat and I totaled up all these extra hours. I meant, if I could not get all these extra bits done within the extra 10 hours that I'm putting in before and after school, which meant then, we've done the weekly can do list and everything else. If you need advice on that, listen to the
Yeah.
early episodes. We went to town on that sort of stuff. Start again from the beginning, listen through, watch through. You'll get loads of tips on that. But yeah, like you say, just if you can take one thing from each episode and make it work for you, then we're this is why we're doing it. This is what we want to do. And it's been great to get back into this today, to get people listening, to hopefully you've got something out of this. Maybe you're thinking about, for me, it's just talking about we were talking about the special needs children earlier. What and using ChatGPT or something to help you. But what can you do to make sure that they're still accessing the curriculum instead of just keeping them busy?
Oh, 100%. But no, I think it's a good place for us to wrap this one up. This one, we'll shoot it out this Monday, although you'll know because you're listening to it right now. But the next one, we're going to aim for a Monday, Friday every week now.
Hmm.
So we will catch up with everyone soon. Thanks for listening. Drop us a review. And yeah, appreciate every one of you. Bye now.
Bye.